Guys, welcome back to another episode of It's a Man's World podcast with season 2, all inspiring guests, different stories. Obviously, I am in the USA at the minute, and I am so excited to have Fareed Samad here with me today, trained to perfection. I will leave all the information below on his Instagram handle, but today's guest, and I'm so excited to hear about your journey. Obviously, I don't know that much. We've been kind of coaching back and forward.
Yes.
We met in Boxer, and
Yes.
I just feel like you're undercover. There's lots of things that everyone needs to know. You've got so many titles and just a lot of recognition in the industry and what you do as a professional. I see how you carry yourself in the gym. I see the respect that the boxers and the people have for you in the gym as well. And I just want this episode to be inspiring for maybe anyone that's in sports, hobbies at the minute that might feel like it's not worth it, they'll never make it, and just a little bit of background on your story and how you're in Miami, how you got here, and where it all kind of began.
Oh, that's very touching. I really appreciate it. Well, I want to say thank you so much. You were like one of the first people that I met in Boxer Gym when I came back. So I've been going back and forth. I came for like 4 days, then I left, then I came for like a week and I left. But I got a chance to meet you and talk to you, and I thought that was really, really cool. And so life is short, even though like most people think that they're going through some phases in their life that it's long, but everything in life is temporary. You know what I'm saying? So you have to like be thankful for getting up in the morning, things like that. Be on the other side. But this world, how big it is and huge it is, let's say it's 70 billion people in the world. But this world is really, really small. So when you and I got to talking, we talked about Dublin, Ireland, talked about me boxing in Ireland, talked about going to Australia, you're going to Australia. So everything is tied and connected. There's no coincidence.
Yes.
That's what I definitely believe. I love your podcast when you're always saying it's a man's world. But I just want to say it will be nothing without a woman or a girl.
I love
James
that.
Brown, all right? But it's definitely true because without a woman, we wouldn't be here. Every man has came through the canal.
Yes.
Okay, so.
It's true though. You wouldn't be
It
here.
is.
It's both. It works both ways.
Yes,
And
yes.
the thing about that, the name of the podcast too.
Yes.
I was only saying earlier on, like I went through like a bit of a hard time,
Yeah.
and I was very in my masculine, and I couldn't really tap into my feminine, and
Yeah.
I had a bit of a guard up. But I do still stand. I absolutely love the name because I feel like, with society and what you're meant to do as a woman, like you can
Yeah.
do whatever you want. And I feel like as well as a coach and coming from, like, you get a different perspective of these professionals and their lives, and also the discipline that's a big thing that I noticed with you. Like, where did all this come from? Because like you have like the amateur champion, you've got the pro.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, what are all the names that you have in your bio? Because that was something that when I was doing a little bit of research, and obviously I followed your Instagram, I was like, wow, like where did all this happen?
Yeah, it started from my mom. So you know, you say it's a man's world, but it's nothing but like I say, like James Brown, a song is nothing without a woman or a girl. But it started with my mom. I can't say from birth, but my dad lived a couple blocks from me, and he never really like had that interaction with me. So I had uncles and cousins and stuff like that, but my mom was like my everything, you know what I'm saying? But she wasn't my dad, of course, and that's why sometimes I got in trouble and I did certain things. So you need your father with you. So, but I did everything, and she supported me. Like I played basketball, she supported. When I wound up started boxing, I had braces in my mouth. I was 15 years old, and my mom was like, "You really want to box? Like you want?" First thing she said, "You want to get your teeth knocked out? I just paid all this money for your teeth, and you want to fight?" And I was like, "Yes." She was like, "Okay." So I wound up boxing, and she wound up supporting me from then on. So then I went into the Army, and I boxed in the Army, and then she was my, like one of my biggest supporters. Even though she might have didn't agree with a lot of things, she was like my biggest supporter. So
It's always
that was
from a
pretty cool.
protective standpoint, isn't it? Like they're just doing it out of like protection and making sure that you're okay, but they always want the best for you anyways.
Yeah. And my mom was a little different. My mom would say, so my nickname is Butter. So I'm going to tell you like different things. So when I was little, I was fat. So they used to call me Butterball. I was born 2 days after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So they used to call me Butterball, like a Butterball turkey. That's what it came off. So, my mom used to, they used to call me Butterball. And then as of course, I wasn't fat no more, started leaning out, they just started calling me Butter. So my mom was different. My mom was like, she would call me up and I would have a fight going on. She's like, look, bud, look, I've been watching you. I'm watching you boxing. She's like, look, if you can't get him out in the first round, get him out in the second. But you got to get him out of there. So, mothers normally be like, I don't want my baby to get hurt. So my mom's talking about, look, knock this guy out. Get this guy out of there. Don't be in there playing. Don't be over there messing around trying to be cute. You get out and get this guy out of there.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you've got an amazing relationship, obviously, with your mom. Do you feel like, though, you went into the army and, like, you stood into, like, this very dominant figure and, like, protective of yourself and where you were going with your life because of not having your dad there? Like, was that something that you feel like maybe that's why you went into the army, or why did all that happen?
Okay, so this is going to be a long podcast, but we're going to try to make it short. I went into the army because of my mom and my sisters. So I have 4 sisters.
Right.
And 1 brother. My brother just passed away. My mom's gone too, but my mom and dad is gone. But I have 4 brothers and 1 sister. So crazy thing is, my sister Renee had a son. He was maybe 3 years old. Then my sister Taronda, which is like my twin, she just had a son, and my mom was pregnant. So all 3 of them. So let me just say, 4 women. I'm the only guy in the house. Okay, that's 1. And then, I've trained women. I know women because I've been around them all my life.
Yeah.
Their periods sync at the same time. So,
Yeah.
it's just like a lot of estrogen in the house. And I was just like, I got to get the F out of here. Like, I don't care if they shoot at me in the army. I'm just getting out of here because I want to get away from these chicks. These chicks are crazy. So that's what made me actually, and also it's like I wanted to travel around the world, and I wanted to, like help my mom out financially.
Okay.
I worked in veteran stadiums, which is like where the Phillies and the Eagles played. And I had a job as a prep, and I was 18 years old. I graduated at 17, and I had a job for a year. But I wanted to be every job that I wanted to do, you had to be 21. I wanted to be a state trooper, you had to be 21. I wanted to work for the Philadelphia Electric Company at 21, and my uncle worked there, so it was good benefits. He's like, I can get you a job, but had to be 21. I wasn't waiting around 4 years. And I didn't want to go to school. I was so fed up with school. I didn't want to go to school. Then my mom would have to pay for it, or I had to be in debt for a grant. School doesn't make sense, really. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have the financial backing, you know what I'm saying? Because you go into debt. You get a career or whatever the case is, you $200,000 in debt before you even get a job. That's just ass backwards. So I just said I would go into the Army. And then the Army had boxing. I saw the Armed Forces Championships. I saw Army box. On TV, they had an Army guy boxing a Navy guy, and the Army guy won. And I was like, oh, man, that's what I want to do. So I wound up going into the Army, sent my mom home money all the time, and I boxed and traveled around the world.
Wow, that's amazing. And what's it like in the army? And like, because it's obviously totally different to like the armed forces at home are more like protection, and they just like, I don't think like we obviously don't go to war, we're neutral. So like, what was it like in the American army?
The structure was like, my mom was like, everything the Army was telling me or the drill sergeants were telling me, my mom was telling me. Like when in the morning time before I went to school, like we had to get up at 7 or whatever the case is. My mom was like, you got to clean your room up, make your bed, clean your room before you leave out the house. You would get in trouble if she came in, like if you was rushing to go out to school and you came back, or she came in and your room was a mess, you would definitely be on punishment, or you had to do something. So she would just like tell me the same thing, and the Army just distilled more structure. Like, look, you have to. We went from my mom giving you a choice and then you get in trouble to the Army was like, you have to. You have to make your bed. You have to do this. You have to clean up, do your chores before you go to PT or physical training and stuff like that. So it was cool. I loved it though.
So you got it from both ends, obviously.
Yeah,
like
I got it from my mom. My mom was like, I was like, man, it's the same stuff my mom told me, but I ignored her. But I had to listen to, you know what I'm saying, these guys.
Yeah.
They were paying me, and then you would get in trouble, or you had have extra duty if you got in trouble. So I just wound up doing that.
And were you good when you went, or were you in the bad
I was
books?
good. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't bad. I never got in no trouble. I never got an Article 15, which that's when they take money from you. I said that when I went into the Army. They wasn't paying me enough anyway, and I was like, I'd be a fool to give them back money. So yeah.
Okay, and then after the army, when was it that you started like coaching people? And obviously, like you're very big. Like you work. Who are the people that you work with at the
Yeah,
minute?
so I boxed while I was in the Army. I won the All Army Championship. That's when all the Army get together and you come out, see who ranked number one. Then I won the Armed Forces. Then I won the Nationals. I was ranked number one in the USA like 3 years in a row. Just things like that. So Army traveling. And I think 1996 after the Olympics, they asked me did I want to change my job or keep my same job. So I wound up changing my job to be a computer programmer. So I wound up doing that. And then I wound up coaching. Like one of my friends, so we boxed 1993, 94. Bashir Abdullah and I were both on a boxing team together as boxers. And he wound up becoming a coach later. That's what happens. You know, you go from boxing to coaching. He wound up coaching later. So when he's coaching, he's like, I need some help. I need you to put your application in. I need you to help me coach. So that's when I wound up coaching. So I wound up coaching like in 1999, 2000. So I started coaching the Army team, and I wound up coaching. Crazy thing is, I wound up being the head coach of the Army female boxing team. Yeah, so I in charge of like 5 women. So you know, it's like I was back to the circle. I was back to taking care of 5 women.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
And did you like that?
Yeah,
Like, was that comforting or like?
I did not like it at all. But I loved it / like I hated it. It was a love-hate job.
And why is that? Like, obviously, females, we have a little bit more emotional, and we obviously are a little bit more sensitive.
That
in
is
certain
true.
Reasons.
But the positive thing is women listen more. They listen. I would rather train a woman boxer than a man boxer. A woman boxer, they pay attention to detail. They ask a lot. They ask a lot of effing questions, but which is good because they want to know how.
Yes.
So I always tell people that if you look at a clock on a wall and you see how the clock is, the old clocks, because everything is digital now. But if your old clock, you look at it on the wall and you see how the third hand keeps moving, then the one hand, and then another second hand, and it moves a little bit after every minute. A guy will look at that and say, "Oh man, it's a nice clock." A woman will ask, how does that clock work? Yeah. They want to break it down, take the parts down. How does this clock actually work? Which I love.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I didn't like it, but I love because they inquisitive about asking questions. Why do you do this, coach? Why is this? Why is that? So you explain it to them, and once they get it, they got it. A guy, after the fact, after he gets bust upside his head, then he wants to know why it's this or why that.
Okay.
I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
We had plenty of time to practice, but I love training the women. What I didn't like was, of course, when women get together, their periods sync. So I had to learn all this. So I had to actually, I'm the coach, because if you have that time of the month, you know, you get bloated. You know what I'm saying? But you still have to make weight.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're fighting 115 pounds, 1 week before the fight's coming on, you have that, you know what I'm saying, your period comes on. So you might get bloated. You still have to make the weight. So I had to go through a process like that with the women.
Really pushing
Yeah, pushing them and making them do X, Y, and Z. So that was that. And then they were really, really emotional. Like I had 4 women who won the Armed Forces Championship. They all won gold medals. 2 of the women, I would have to actually get in the ring during the time that between one round to another round, I would actually have to hug them and talk nice to them.
Yes.
And then the other 2, I would have to like slap their headgear. Like, look, get it together, do so-and-so, to make them work. So I had to find that out too.
Right, so it's like finding but that's probably why you're really good with working with people, because you know the difference of the personality.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because is there coaches that are like, literally, this is the way and that's it?
Yeah.
And I don't care what way you want to do it, you're going to do it.
Right. So it's like my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And then, but that works. It's we call it the authoritarian side. Like, you know, when you're really, really strong and like hard, we call it like that. But that works for some people, but that don't work for everybody. So you have to be able to. A good coach is like a psychologist.
Yes.
So a good coach is like a psychologist. So you have to find out, how do I get this person to do something they don't want to do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the ideal. When we was in the Army, there was like leadership. Leadership, the definition of leadership was basically to get somebody to do something they didn't want to do. So, you know, there might be times in the Army where I might tell you, you have to go attack these 4 people. You have to run straight ahead, shoot the gun, and attack these 4 people. And you'd be like, nah, that don't make no sense. But in wartime, it makes sense because we have to do certain things. So I have to be able to make you do something or figure out how do you do this without breaking down and getting this thing done.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So the mind is obviously the strongest thing when it
Yes.
comes to it.
Yes.
And when you look at, like, I'd love to know just from a outsider standpoint, like obviously the different types of clients that you have or any athletes that are going into the ring, like what's the speech or what way is it that you have to approach energy wise and motivation, if you want to call it? Like,
Yeah.
how does that work when someone's about to get on for a big fight?
That's getting to know the person beforehand. Like perfect practice make perfect. I always say that. So
Okay.
by me being around you all the time, talking to you, so I don't really talk about myself. My ideal is like I'm the coach. You don't really need to know about me unless you ask. Really, is like I need to know about you because you're the one that's going to be performing. My performance is great all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because people always say, "Oh man, coach, you ready?" I was like, "Ready for what?" Like I ain't get out there fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like I fought before. I fought in all levels, amateur, you know what I'm saying, semi-pro and pro. I know how to fight. I know how to box. I know how to do all these things. But I was like, my time is over. So
It's
I'm
your
like,
time.
I'm cool. So it's like,
Okay.
oh, coach, you ready? I'm like, what you mean ready? Like, I'm always ready. Like, you know, like that's a dumb question. Like you the one got to get out there. So, but my thing is to ensure to get that person. So I have to know that person. I have to know, like in practice, you have to do certain things to trigger certain things to find out what makes this person work.
Okay,
You know,
very.
I had a guy named Boyd Melson who I trained, and he was scared of his father. His father was, his father grew up in Watts, grew up through the riots. His father was a non-playing person, but his father was one of the sweetest guys in the world. But if he said something, you was going to do it. You know, so I remember one time in the middle of the ring, he was losing a boxing match, wasn't doing things, and I'm fussing him out. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna tell your dad. And he straightened up, wound up winning the fight, and then he still talks about that. I was like, hey, whatever you got to do to get that person to, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, and
Yeah.
let's talk about like setbacks in the ring, or even let's bring it outside and give it like the two comparisons. Someone's in the ring and they are getting beaten and they're getting knocked down and they're like, shit, how am I going to come back from this? Or maybe someone's in a business, they're losing money and they're getting beaten.
Yeah.
How do you come back from it? Because I always try, and even with my clients or for anyone that's listening, the mind is so strong and it controls everything.
Yes.
How does what advice would you give to someone that is maybe facing a lot of fear at the minute, a lot of self-doubt, whether it's in a sport or whether it's in a business? How do you overcome that?
Okay, well, inside the ring, and I'm looking to all of y'all right in the camera, inside of the ring. If you get knocked down and you getting your ass beat, it's your coach's job to stop the fight. Okay, so safety first. You can always live another day. You know what I'm saying? A good run is better than a bad stand. The same thing with money. You may lose out on some money. If you are living and breathing, you still have a chance tomorrow to get that thing done. So that's the big thing. So sometimes you got to cut your ties. You got to cut you got to cut your learning experiences. Don't think of it as a loss. Now, I have another saying too. Like I always tell my fighters in life also in and out the ring. There's a difference between losing and being defeated. Okay, I can handle a defeat. I can't handle a loss. So the ideal of it is what I taught you in the ring. I taught you how to jab. I taught you how to catch the jab. I taught you how to throw the 1-2. I taught you how to move. I taught you these things. Now you do all those things in a boxing match and somebody beats you, gets the decision. That's a defeat. That's not a loss. Now, if I'm teaching you all these things, then you get out there and them bright lights hit you, and the bright lights hit you, your eyes is all big, and you don't do crap. You know what I'm saying? You just standing and looking dumb or looking like dumbfounded and get hit upside the head. That's a loss, and that's something I can't tolerate. So when I use that in life as far as in and out the ring, like, look, if you did everything you were supposed to do, you made some decisions, you found out certain things, and then it didn't work out, you have to cut your losses or cut your defeat as, all right, I'm defeated today in this, and then I'll work on something else. Because if you can get up and breathe, you still got a chance.
Yeah, I think that's
That's just my
huge though.
mentality.
Even resonates in my head with business or a transformation. Did you really do everything that you were meant to do?
Right.
Did you show up? Do you know in the back of your head, no, I 100% gave it my all? Okay, sometimes it's just that it didn't work out your way, and it's as you said, it's not a defeat or a loss. But then think about it: if you knew in the back of your head you didn't do everything,
Yeah, then there's something
who are you to
yeah.
blame? Like if
Yes.
you know that you put yourself, sometimes things happen, especially in business, that you're physically out of your control. But when things happen and you are in control of them, it's like
Yeah, what can you do? What can you say?
weigh it out.
Fitness competitions. So I lived in Denver, Colorado. So I've trained all the fitness. I trained Mr. Universe. I trained all these guys. So I train all the fitness guys. So I know that they like to do boxing for cardio because they tired of doing a stairmaster. You know what I'm saying? 30 minutes in, 30 minutes top, twice a day. But sometimes, and then you get to a competition where you know out and out that you did better or you look better than another person, but the other person won because of the judges. You know, because it's a lot of similarity, familiarity, like who knows who, stuff like that. So you can't count that as you lost. You count that as defeat, but you already know that sometimes things are just rigged. You know, so you have to understand that. So, but if you did everything, but if you didn't do everything you were supposed to do, then you got to deal with. That's something you can't deal with.
Yeah.
Or I can't deal with.
There's
or tolerate.
politics and then there's the fairness.
Yes.
And it's like deep down, I think though, if you've given it your all, no matter what you're doing, you know, I've done everything that I could, because you get up there and you're like, I'm proud of myself. But if you're insecure straight away, you're looking at the other person, you're comparing. I even noticed from doing my first competition,
Yeah.
I set out to be like, I think when people say they set out because they're doing it for the fun, and if it's a competitive sport or a competitive competition, whatever you're doing, it's like you didn't set out for fun.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah.
And I used to say, oh, I'm doing this, but I was like, I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing it to win.
Yeah.
And I didn't win.
Yeah.
But then again, I was like, I knew from where I was at, like side stage, I was so confident in myself. I was like, I was a little bit nervous, of course, but I knew I have done everything that I could have done. And on the day, it just depends.
Yeah.
And I think there's people that you can see side stage and they're looking at each other. It's like in Irish dancing. Obviously, I come from a big Irish dancing background. You know, the people that are side stage and they're quiet. Like some people are in their zone, but some people are like really paranoid because they're like, oh my God, is this going to go right? Will I bang into the next person? Am I going to be able to keep it up? But that's when you know you haven't done everything that you could have done.
Yeah.
So it's like hard work pays
doubt.
off regardless.
Yeah, when you have some doubt. But when you on that kind competing, that's one thing I don't do either. Compete. It's like if I'm doing something, I'm doing it to win.
Yeah.
So you like, oh, I'm competing. I'm just like, that's just like being average. That's like getting this. That's just like going to school to get a D. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Because
Pointless.
like I tell people in college, like if most times, if you attend, you there every day, that's part of your grade. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing some work in there and you're socializing, you're talking back to the teacher, you can pass off of that. It's like hard to fail if you go to class and you participate. Like, you might not get an A or whatever the case is, but that's just like being average. Like who wants to be average? It's like kind of like I always tell my clients too, though, that that when your mom and dad had sex, this is really good. So when your mom and dad had sex and your dad had that, you know what I'm saying, and they went up there, how much semen went up in there, you were the one that reached it, you know what I'm saying? So you're a winner. You know what I'm saying? I said, so why would you just fucking want to just compete? Or just to be average. Yeah. So I just be telling them things like that.
Exactly.
So
and
hopefully that resonates with them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They just say I'm funny or crazy.
Yeah, where does the self-doubt creep in for so many people? People just like to let other people take the light, and I think everyone is put here for a reason to serve in some way.
We're all special.
Yeah, to shine in our own way. Maybe it's not to go into the winner mindset in terms of first place all the time, but when there's two types of place, I always say, why take second best when first is available?
That's right.
Why would you?
That's right.
Because you're just settling for the bare minimum. And it's like, I think when you get to, like, obviously people down the line and when they're a lot older, they look back and they're like, I wish I could have done that. And they don't. I never want to have any of those regrets.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I tell all my fighters or people that say they want to box or they want to start boxing. I just want to do one boxing match. I say, you should do it. Even though I try not to get, if it's up to me, nobody would be boxing. Like if you train and stuff like that, but when you're gonna get out there and get in the ring, it's a lot. Getting hit upside the head, moving, and the paranoia. I've seen people like almost pass out, hyperventilate from getting in the ring, get under them lights. So I just feel like, hey, but if that's what you want to do, I think you should do it because you're gonna always regret it. Like, oh, I wish I could have. They have master tournaments now that you could box at 40, 50, 60 years old.
Okay.
You know, so.
I love that. And has there been a huge shift in terms of obviously the standard? Because in terms of every industry, everything's just going up a level all the time. Is it the same in like the boxing and the professional industry? Like, are people getting better, fitter, faster, stronger? Because I feel like fitness is just huge at the minute. Or what's your perception of that?
I think they're getting stronger, faster, but they're dumber, and they don't. The basic fundamentals is lost. It's like most people are taking one for another. Like, oh, I'm fast now and I'm strong. Okay, but you can be fast and strong, and somebody can just stick their arm out and punch you in the face. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not who's the fastest and the strongest. Boxing is not a. My coach Al Mitchell said this to me in '96 in the Olympics. He said it's not a young man's sport. It's not an old man's sport. It's a smart man's sport. You have to be smart when you're out there. You just can't be out there throwing. It's not a fight. It's a boxing match. Boxing is the art of hit and not get hit. It's not a fight or a street fight. A street fight is 30 seconds. If you and somebody start talking, y'all just be like, oh, let's just go at it. Y'all gonna start punching. Next thing you know, you're gonna be on the ground. It's like UFC basically. So this is boxing. So there's an art to it. So you want to be able to retain your money and your wits, after the fact. So that's what I try to tell people. So the guys today, they're strong. I mean, they're faster, time-wise, and they can do a lot of different things that I haven't seen before, but they dumb as a rock. They can't even be like, okay, you can't even jab. You can't even, like, catch a jab. Like, why weren't you taught that? So we're kind of like in a... The phones are killers.
Are you picking up like the pieces and filling the gaps?
Trying to fill the
things?
gaps, yeah. And it's kind of like being the sun.
Okay, right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people like trying to use use my Wi-Fi for free, so it drains you sometimes. It's just like, oh, fuck.
You have to build back up your energy a lot. Yeah.
Sometimes you go through those times where you just like...
You give a lot.
You give a lot. Yeah.
But is it amazing when someone gives back
to
you?
Yeah. Or actually, it's amazing when you see what you talked about. It's kind of like everything. Say you have a goal, or say something you want to do. First, it comes with the mind. Like, you know what? I want to run a marathon. You say that, right? And then you say, okay, I want to run a marathon. Then you say, you talk to a friend, and your friends talk to you about stuff, and you be like, you know what? I'm going to run a marathon. Now,
you've said it. You
said it. I'm going to run a marathon. Now you got to find out how to run a marathon. Because marathon is just not running.
No.
It's 26.2 miles. It's not just freaking running. So you say, oh, okay. So you got to find out, like, maybe get a book, find out what to eat, you know what I'm saying, for the days of the runs and stuff like that. Because I've seen guys run and take a dump while they're running. That is nasty.
Hire a coach.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's definitely dedication. Yeah. So it's just different things like that. So, once you say it, it starts with the mind. You say, all right, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to do it. Then you got to find out how to do it, and then you get it done. It's like, oh, man, that's the same thing with me watching you move with the jab, throw the 1-2, move your feet. And I'm like, oh, man, it's amazing because when I first met you, you couldn't even do none of that. You know what I'm saying? Your hands and feet wouldn't even go together. So that's the part I love. Like, seeing that what I've talked to you about, we talked about it and we made it a creation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the iCloud.
Yeah, it comes to life.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
okay,
I think that part is really great.
The imagination has come into the action. It's literally right in front of you.
I love that part.
Yeah,
I love that
amazing. Part. When, like, with that, obviously that part of the fear, the idea, the imagination, then you have this great idea, everyone's buzzing, they're like, absolutely. Do you think it's the mind that gives up first, or is it the body and the physical thing that gives up first?
Oh, it's definitely the mind. Definitely the mind. I always tell I tell all the guys in the gym, because I'm like the OG of the gym.
Yes,
I'm like the oldest person in the gym, so it's kind of like the OG of the gym. So I always tell people, I say, listen, you can read any book. Any book, you can pick up any book. You can pick up the Bible, you can pick up the Quran, you can pick up any book you've read. It's all going to tell you the same thing. I said the mind is it's the strongest thing you have. I said the heart is the strongest muscle, of course. The ass is the biggest, but the heart is the strongest. But your mind is so powerful, because if you look at any book that people go through certain things, in jail or no sunlight, things like that, the reason why they survive is because their mind didn't give up. Because if your mind gives up, if your mind says F it, then you should be like, I'm done. So your mind is the thing that you have to make strong. You know, your body will do what your mind does. You know what I'm saying? Or your body will break, but your mind still will be strong. You'd be like, man, I'm running this marathon and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. So actually, a funny story is I ran a 10-mile run. One of my clients asked me to run, and I was like, oh, yeah, cool. And it was like Denver. I was in Denver at the time, which the altitude is 1 mile, which is 5,400. I think it's 5,480 is 1 mile. So it's the altitude is that high. So one of my clients, I went to Miami for a month for training. I was in Miami for a month or maybe 5 weeks training. And one of my clients called me like 3 weeks before the 10-mile run. It's like, oh, I bought all your stuff. I got all your stuff in the mail and I got your stuff. So, you know, you're still going to run. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. So that means I had to start, I had to go outside. I only had 3 weeks to start working, running. And I ran in Miami, which the altitude is sea level, okay? So I'm running in Miami. I started running blocks, 10 blocks, 11 blocks, 12 blocks. I just started running blocks. I got up to like 50 blocks. I just was running. But I still wasn't in great shape. And then I wound up doing the run. So, and it was just basically like I called one of my friends that we were in the Army. We used to run together because I used to run 6-minute miles, easy. So I called one of my friends and I was talking to him. He said, oh, man, you've been doing this for years. He said, it's all mental, bro. He said, you got this. I said, man, we used to run and talk all the time. He said, bro, it's going to be easy for you. Just take your time, pace yourself, have a pace, you know what I'm saying, and do what you got to do. And sure enough, I did the 10-mile run in like 7:30 or 8-minute miles.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong. Mile 7, I was screwed. I felt so bad. And then after that, I ran the 10 miles. I slept all day. I was hurting. But the ideal of it is in my mind, you know, like, because I haven't ran in God knows when. I just was running some blocks, jogging some blocks. I wasn't even running. I was just jogging, just moving my feet. And then I prepared for it like in 3 weeks or less and wound up doing 10 miles. So,
there you go.
Yeah,
Instant self-doubt and what comes into your mind straight away for people that haven't even tried something. Like when you're running and you're at that point where your body is like, oh my God, what do you tell yourself in your head? Because I tell myself a lot of things.
Yeah. I took I have a psychology degree. That's another thing that, yeah. So I wound up having to learn like about people. So I wound up getting a degree while I was in the Army. But things that they taught me in psychology, a degree was just a piece of paper basically. But I was a certified psychologist before I got the degree. You know, I just had to learn things as far as you can't, as a psychologist, you can't tell people what to do. I learned that too. You can give them drugs or you can talk about things, but you can't actually tell them what to do. So I didn't want to do that. I want to be more of a life coach where I tell you like, get off your ass, stop being a little bitch. Let's get this stuff together. That's me. So, but in the psychology part is self-talk. Self-talk is very important.
Okay.
Self-talk is very important. And self-doubt is horrible. But self-talk is like, there's times where you be like, man, I don't want to go to the gym today. You're talking to yourself. I don't want to go to the gym today. And it's just like, it's gloomy outside. And, you know, I'm going to take a day off. You know what I'm saying? And then something says to yourself, no, bitch, you need to get your ass up and go to the gym. You got this. You be like, you know what? Yeah, I got this. All right, I'm going to the gym. That's self-talk. You got to talk yourself into doing stuff that you don't want to do. Like, come on, I got this. Yeah, I got it. Or two more. Like, no, I'm tired. I'm done. But he's like, nah. Man up. You know what I'm saying? Put your big boy panties on. Let's roll. Let's do it. And you get your 2 done. So self-talk is very, very important.
Okay, I love that. Amazing. And that's easier said than done, though.
It is easier said than done.
You can say to someone, let's go. You can say it in your head, but it's actually taking action and putting on your shoes and getting to the gym. How do you get past that with someone? Because you can't baby someone either.
Yeah, that's true. But self-talk is about you. Like, I can self-talk myself to say, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm getting this done. And you fight with yourself like, nah, I can wait till tomorrow. No. Listen, like Kobe Bryant used to say, he used to write a contract out to himself and put it on a refrigerator. He's like, once the deal's signed, it's a done deal. Like he wrote something and said, okay, I'm getting up 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm working out 3:00 in the morning now. I'm gonna do this during the summertime. And then he's like, sometimes he didn't want to do it, but he's like, he wrote a contract to himself, put it on the refrigerator. So he's like, you go to the refrigerator all the time. He's like, it's a done deal. So the thing is, you have to self-talk is for yourself, but also it's like, there's not a lot I can do. I can do things for you, but I can't do everything for you.
Yeah.
Like as a trainer, I know you get frustrated because she's like, come on, girl. Like, look, if
on.
you just do, this work, the plan works. A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3, 4. The multiplication and the timetables work, but you got to do the steps. You know what I'm saying? And then you have people that don't do the steps, but they want the results. So you be like, yo, like,
it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
You can't skip
it works this way. You can't skip the steps. So it's really like hard. Like I can't do it for you. So you have to have that talk. Sometimes you have to have a nice talk. Sometimes you have to have a rough talk. But it's definitely some communication and talk. You know.
Yeah.
But I always tell my clients, or like, 'cause I don't really consider them clients. I just consider them family members of my community, of Trained to Perfection community or my community. And I talk to them all the time because I can't train somebody and then just see them tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I keep up with them, text them, see how they doing, things like that. Because I want to know how they feel. What's going on? Like, what's going on with you? You know, how can we get better as a people? But you can't, I'm not wiping nobody's ass. You know what I'm saying? So I can't be, I'm so glad I didn't take nursing. My uncle's a doctor, my aunt's a doctor, my cousin's a nurse. I'm just like, look. Now, I've wiped my daughter's ass when she was little, and I think I would still do that today, but it's kind of hard to wipe a grown person's ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for every woman that will wipe a man's ass, that love a husband or love a man like that, I'm so proud of you. But it's just kind of hard. And I'm not saying that I won't wipe nobody's ass, but I'm just saying,
it's not happening.
that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. That's a different type of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. You must run get the poop on your thumb. Oh, it's terrible. I go all day.
You have a mix of both though. Like you give the fair side, but obviously from coaching with you, remember that time I was late?
Yeah.
And I was like absolutely sweating over being late. I was like, oh my God. And you were like, it's cool. And I was like, what way do I play this? Like, is he okay with me being late or not? But so I knew you weren't.
No. Listen, this is what I tell all my clients. So if we're scheduled to do a half an hour, okay? So there's 2 minutes. So we're boxing. Say we do 2-minute rounds, 2 minutes on, 1 minute rest, and you're late. That's your break. Your break was in the car. When you was driving while you was late, that's your break. So we get less breaks because we got to get, I got some things we got to get done. I got to make sure you burn this many calories. So your break was in the car. So you know what I'm saying? It's all right.
You arrived and you knew what you were signing up for, basically.
Yeah, I ain't tripping. It's like, look, and it's your time too. Like I always tell my clients, when it comes down to it, like I tell my people, when it comes down to it, you pay me. So, like people always say, oh, coach, you killed me today. I was like, nah, really, I didn't. It was self-inflicted because you could have stopped at any time.
Yeah.
You could have been like, coach, F you, I'm out. I'm like, okay. You already paid for the session. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? But I always tell people, like, look, it's your time. So I'm trying to make the best of your time. So, we work like that. So,
I
don't
think,
be tripping.
No, and the commitment that you make with even putting something on the fridge, like the way you were saying what Kobe done, or with myself, I made a commitment to you. I was like, I'm gonna do like reels and content down the line when I can punch, and it's still in my head because I'm like, I'm still gonna do that. I'm still gonna commit to it. And I think if you make a verbal commitment, it's a lot easier to just forget about what you've said. But when you say it out loud and when you say it to someone else, it's like, okay, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, your family members, it's like someone will always say, but you said you were going to do that. Did you do it? Yeah. And then in the back of your head, shit, I didn't do it. But I think it comes down to like the commitment that you have towards your goals, what you want to sign up for, and investing in a coach, whether it's yourself, whether it's an online coach, a boxing coach, therapist. Like you have to put the work in. You can't just arrive and expect that person to create a miracle there and then. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and you have to write it. You have to write it down. You have to write it down. You have to see it. So I know people who do vision boards. People who do vision boards normally get a lot of their, like 80 to 90. They pass. They get 70+% of their things done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you write down 10 things, you probably get something. Huh? Okay.
I done a new one yesterday, last night.
So you normally get them done. So when So I wanted to be a good parent, and I bought these books on how to be a parent, all these things like that. So and it would talk about like when you have kids, they have goals and write your goals on the refrigerator. And I was like, that's so smart because the bathroom, the shitter, you know what I'm saying? The bathroom, which is the bathroom and the refrigerator are two things you're gonna go to in the house the most.
Yes. So
I
they
mean,
have to see it every
take your time and think about it. The bathroom, because that's your piece. If you have family members, you be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I me 20 minutes or whatever case, and the refrigerator. Those are two things that you're gonna be in more, you know what I'm saying, more than less. So you might as well write them down and put them there so you can see them. Every time you open the refrigerator, you'll see your goals over there. You say, oh, okay, I gotta do this. And you just you know, slash them off as you go. You know, and in the bathroom too. You're in the bathroom, you know, or in the mirror, whatever the case is. You just put it on in the mirror. You'll see them. Have little stickies. You know what you're doing.
I love that.
The bed is cool too, but basically, if you work and you got things to do, you're only in the bedroom to sleep. You know, you're in the bedroom too. So it's not like that's your place, you know. But the bathroom and the refrigerator are two things that you're gonna see more than you see the bed. You know what I'm saying? So
Definitely. I love that. And this whole episode was about discipline, just kind of shown from a standpoint of like the psychology side of things, the mindset, the competitive sport, like to round up the podcast and to give people, especially people at home, like obviously boxing is a big thing worldwide, but there's a lot of maybe my clients that will be listening. There's a lot of maybe some of my Irish dancers that are listening that are competitive. If someone has like this big goal, this big dream, or even if they have a small glitch of it and they're like, this is what I would love to do, like what advice do you give to someone that doesn't really believe in themselves or doesn't want to maybe put themselves out there because they're afraid of failure?
say it out loud. First, say it out loud. Say, hey, I'm gonna start boxing. I'm gonna do a boxing class, and then you have to look up, do the research for boxing. So, go to that. I'm an open book. I always say, if you ask me a question, any of your clients can send me a message. My IG is Train to Perfection, Train the number 2 Perfection, and so is my YouTube, Train to Perfection. And I have like a beginning boxing stances and stuff like that. So when you do a boxing class or you go to classes, you're gonna get lost in translation. I always tell people a boxing class is kind of like a public school. I went to a public school. So public schools is like 30 people in one class, one teacher. Everybody's not gonna learn. Mm-hmm. Everybody's not gonna learn and be on a certain level. You have to break classes down. So you're not gonna learn as much, but it'd be good esprit de corps for you when you're working around people. You'd be motivated. You're not gonna know what you do. So, but it's a start. So, but the thing is, you got to learn how you do stances and learn how to throw punches. And the punches you should learn how to throw is the jab or one punch and the second punch. If you're orthodox, which you're right-handed, your left hand go first, your right hand go second. You should learn those two things. You shouldn't be like trying to learn how to throw hooks, uppercuts, and all that type stuff. So footwork, straight punches. But there's several ways you can do it and places you can go. You should just really talk to somebody and you should just do it.
I love that. Amazing. It is really that easy. Just do it.
Yeah.
Why are you holding back? Why are you making excuses up? Because the only person you're delaying is yourself.
Yes.
And
definitely.
the only person that's waiting for you to do it is you. No one can do it. You can't do it for me. I can't do it for you. It's like, true. I can say I'm going to do it, but it's the action that's like the most important thing.
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely.
Amazing.
Definitely.
I love that.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to inspire so many people. And I know I like to keep the episodes to like 40 to 45 minutes. People are interactive. Like, ask questions below. Like, pop us a DM. I'll put your Instagram below. Like, ask anything below. Please. Like, I'm going to make my commitment, as I said to you, about the boxing and what we're doing as well. And I've said it out loud and I will do it. And the same with, have you anything coming up for the next couple of months for yourself?
Okay, so November 12th, we have fighting. We have boxing. I'm here in Miami. You know, I moved from Vegas to Miami. So I was at Floyd Mayweather's gym in Vegas, and now I moved to Miami at Boxer's Gym with Mateo. Great group of people. Now training David Benavidez for his next fight, which is January 25th. It's on pay-per-view. So, but also we have a fight November 12th at Club 11. It's our first premiere. Boxer's Gym is going to have their first fight. Mateo is promoting the fight, and I have 3 fighters fighting on that card, so I'm gonna be busy that day. But if you can't come out, it's gonna be on streamed. I don't know exactly where, but I'll keep you posted. So anytime you want to talk, you want to send a message, you want to learn about boxing, you want to ask some questions, just send it to me. I will definitely take care of you.
I love that. I'm definitely coming back for that
All right,
now on
thank
the
you.
12th for
Sounds
sure.
good. Sounds good.
But thank you for coming on. I know it's going to help so many people, inspire people too.
hope
And
it do.
guys, I hope that you took valuable information from it. As always, like listen back, screenshot like the little points of the podcast that you enjoyed, write it down, like what gets written down gets done. And yeah, hopefully this has inspired you and make a little bit of a commitment to yourself to finish out 2024. But thank you for coming on. And guys, if you have any questions, pop them below and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings.